Hello and welcome back, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast with your host, Sana. Today, we have a guest whose story is nothing short of a plot twist in a wellness journey. Listeners, meet Andrea Joy, a former insurance agency owner turned certified mind and health coach. Andrea traded paperwork for mindfulness and turned her health struggles into a powerful transformation. From battling chronic illnesses to discovering the healing power of self awareness and a surprising shift to a carnivore diet, Andrea is here to share her inspiring journey of resilience, laughter, and thriving from the inside out. So, grab your favorite beverage, tea, coffee, or maybe kombucha. So, this is going to be a wild ride. So, Andrea, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute pleasure having you with us today.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the introduction.
Andrea, what inspired you to leave the insurance world and dive into the world of mindfulness, holistic health, and mindset coaching?
Well, like many people, I was a business owner trying to juggle and balance my personal life, my health, and running and growing a business, trying to hit sales every month and hire employees and just feeling burnt out year after year. Just the weight of everything on me. And I just got to a point where after so many years, I was diagnosed actually after about 9 months of opening the business. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So I started that second year running the business out of Moffitt Cancer Center in Tampa, Florida. And then luckily, she was able to recover, and I was able to go back into the office and no longer have to work out of a hospital room. And then years later, unfortunately, my health started to decline even more with just burnout and fatigue and thyroid issues. And my first thought was, I'm not going to take medication for this. I want to heal my body. I don't want to live where I'm rushing from one thing to the next all day long. So that's what I did in 2020 when the pandemic hit. I decided to change my life and sell the business. I chose me over it. I do wish I would have learned the things I know now, that I could have stayed in the business and just taken care of myself. But at that point, I was so sick, I didn't know what else to do besides sell the business and do what felt I was called towards, which was health and wellness and holistic healing. So that's what I jumped into. And I'm so glad I did, because it feels so good to help other business owners and professionals and people that it's great to hit your goals at work. It's great to get raises and promotions and succeed. But it's not great to push yourself, to burn yourself out, and to harm your body along the way.
That's true. That's true. And even burnout is real because I experienced it myself. Before getting into the world of podcasting, uh, I spent 10 years in the corporate world, and there was a point in my life, where I worked almost 14 to 15 hours every day just for getting that promotion. Um, I had nothing else apart from that. I was completely obsessed with that aim. I mean, yeah, it's okay, it's good, it's a great thing. But after I got it, and after 1 or 2 weeks, I saw changes in my sleeping patterns, in the way I felt doing a simple work, even like cooking or taking a shower. In everything, I felt a bit of annoyance and irritation. I couldn't understand why. But then gradually I realized that this is burnout. I'm not feeling good at all. I'm not able to get up from my bed for work. I'm sleeping almost all the weekends, Saturday, Sunday. I used to sleep for like, till afternoon. So it was really, really bad, and burnout is real. So thank you, Andrea, for sharing your story. because it's really tough to be vulnerable for people, especially in the age of technology and social media. So thank you so much for sharing your story and inspiring others to, start taking care of themselves. Also, you have faced an incredible array of health challenges, as you mentioned. So, how did these experiences shape your approach to wellness and inspire your coaching practice?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, thank you for sharing that because I think that's so important. People don't realize that just that fatigue alone is a sign of your body saying, hey, I don't feel well. I need help. So thank you for sharing that because that's really important.
Wait.
Um, and for me, there were so many different issues that were coming up between the fatigue and joint pain and muscle spasms. And they had diagnosed me with several autoimmune diseases. I had experienced mold toxicity for many years, actually starting as a child, Lyme disease, leaky gut, systemic candida,
Mhm.
Epstein-Barr virus. So there was a long list once they started digging, realizing, and really, I honestly, it may sound strange, but I feel for my body because I feel like when we get to that burnout so bad and we keep pushing it and pushing it, the immune system gets so low that anything that was laying dormant or is there is going to come out to play. So as they were diagnosing with things back then, I was scared. But now when I look back at it, I'm not surprised because I had pushed myself so much and I didn't understand the importance of my mindset, of proper nutrition, of proper sleep, like you said, of proper hydration. I can remember my first year of owning the business. I was in this tiny little executive suite with no windows. It was like a closet, like a walk-in closet. And that was my first year and a half of having the insurance business. And I remember holding it in to go to the bathroom all day long, like not even drinking water so I didn't have to go, which is ridiculous. I was dehydrated and I was so busy, but I was so focused. I didn't realize the importance of just hydration. So the mindset was big, the nutrition, and of course our gut health, the lifestyle changes like just hydration and sleep are really, really big. And even community, we stay so focused in what we're doing, which is beautiful. If we're entrepreneurs or busy professionals or managers or whatever you're doing out there, I applaud you for staying so focused on working hard, but really being able to also have a community outside of work is really important as well, even if it's your coworkers. But stepping back, that time is so important for our soul, for our mind, for our body, for everything. So supplementation was big as well for me. Even though living in Florida, getting sunlight, I was deficient in vitamin D and magnesium. I needed a probiotic. I didn't know these things as a business owner. I didn't truly know how to take care of myself. There's no class in school that says these are the important things to do when you get older. And if you're feeling burnt out when you own a business, here's what to do. Like that just didn't exist. And I didn't even know where to start. So, and then for me, a big part of it too was I dealt with severe chemical sensitivities. So to cleaning products, I mean, even to my face wash I would put on, it would turn my face red. I'd get rashes on my body, not only from the food I was eating that could cause an allergy, but also from the products around me. I didn't know that my mattress could make me sick, that's toxic. I didn't know, what were the right pots and pans to use and to avoid perfume, anything with perfume in it, or fabric softeners, or what I was washing my clothes in or my dishes in. So I was kind of forced to learn all of this because I got so sick that I was reactive to everything. I remember a doctor telling me, I've never seen somebody have so many food allergies. I don't even know how you're eating. And, that was a struggle for a while I ate a lot of vegetables. I went from being a vegan many, many years ago, which unfortunately I think being vegan made it worse because I became so nutrient deficient. And then I turned more pescatarian, and then eventually I was keto for a while, but keto-ish. Like I didn't do beans and nuts and seeds, things like that with autoimmune. You usually get reactive to it. Then I turned to carnivore about 8 months ago. And I've had shifts all throughout. It's been about a 10-year journey, actually, which is pretty crazy. But I'm also very grateful for the journey because I've become a person that I never knew I could be. because I had to look within, because I had to do this work, going to therapy, right? Doing something called EMDR for past trauma and releasing things. But to get back to the carnivore really made a shift, and it allowed me to truly start healing my gut more than I have. I hadn't had a regular cycle. For you females out there that are struggling with your cycles, it had been off and on for a few years. And all of a sudden, within 3 weeks of carnivore, my cycle came back, and it's been regular every month since. So, and I'm in 8 months now. I can actually feel the hormones running through my body, if that makes sense. So it's been quite a journey, and carnivore has been probably the quickest shift I've seen out of all the things I've done. I've done lots of nutrition and mindset and gut healing, and herbs. And at one point, I flew across country to a holistic wellness center, chronic wellness center, and spent about $10,000 every week I went out there. And I went out there for 2 years, like once every few months. So, and did IV therapy, like hyperbaric oxygen chambers. Like, I mean, at one point I was taking 45 supplements a day. Like, I feel like I've done so much. And it's been so great. But there's been a lot of, I mean, obviously financially, not everybody can afford that. And I couldn't. I just kept taking on the medical debt and then doing my best to pay it off. But this was important to me. I wasn't going to be addicted or stuck on medication. That was important to me. So that carnivore diet really gave me a switch, and things started to calm down, the inflammation. My body started to heal more. And now I'm 8 months in, and I'm just watching the healing. It has been a journey. And I will tell you, if you're looking at doing carnivore, it's not easy peasy for most people, like it may look out there, but it has been very transformative for me. And I plan to stay on it a little while longer. It's not a forever, but it's another tool in my toolbox.
Wow, wow, that's quite a shift, and it's unfathomable of how you navigated through all these, but it's really fascinating. From vegan to pescatarian, from keto, and then finally to a carnivore diet. So, you often emphasize the role of mindfulness and self-awareness in healing. So, can you share any practical ways which you have been using, and people can tap into those practices or tools to improve their well-being?
Yeah, mindfulness was a big part of it. And I would say when I work with my clients now, that's the first step I do, because I feel like you can take all the supplements in the world, eat all the right things, take out all the toxins. But if you're not mindful throughout the day and you're in fight or flight or stress mode, it's almost impossible to heal. So that mindfulness for me, I became a mindfulness facilitator. So I teach other people how to do breathing techniques, meditate, mindfulness. And I actually went to 2 Dr. Joe Dispenza events. For those of you that know him, he's fantastic. And spent about 35 hours a week meditating. And at one point did a 4.5 hour meditation in his retreat or workshop. So talk about transformative. That blew my mind, because I came from doing 20-minute meditations to doing a 4.5 hour one. And they're all guided meditations, but there's formal, informal mindfulness. And that informal mindfulness, I love just as much as the formal. And the informal is being mindful when you're walking, when you're doing the dishes, when you're sitting at your desk. Take a breath and just be mindful of how you're sitting. How's your posture? How are you breathing? Have you looked away from the computer? How are your hands and wrists? Do you feel like you need to stand out? So just mindfulness throughout the day, waking up in the morning and taking a few breaths and just being aware. We have, Dr. Joe Dispenza says this all the time, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% are the same as the day before. So how do we expect change if we're having the same thoughts, which lead to the same emotions and the same actions? So that mindfulness part, I remember hitting me one point when I was taking the 40 supplements a day and actually like being nervous and shaking just to try to get them all in before lunch or breakfast, and just thinking to myself, how am I going to heal if I'm just anxious and in stress mode taking these supplements? How are these going to actually digest and help my body if I'm in this stress mode all day long? And I just started tapping into my body and listening to it. I know my body so well, almost too well now. It speaks to me. And those little whispers I hear very clearly now, Or before it had to be screams before I could hear. But now I hear the whispers and I know what my body needs. And it's usually to slow down, take a breath, and be mindful of what's happening around me. And if you want to slow time down, you feel like life is going quick because you're rushing all day at work. And when you get home, mindfulness is the key. It will slow things down because you come more present and you're not living in those thoughts and going from one thing to the next. Those thoughts can take us everywhere. Same thing with the social media. You know, you can get lost in your phone, on the computer, on Instagram, on YouTube, but really being aware of what you're doing in that moment and being aware of what you're listening to when it comes to, are you listening to something like this, The Healthy Mind, where you're learning and you're taking care of yourself and you're educating yourself. So that mindfulness really allowed me to gain so much awareness of the people in my life and how they make me feel, my environment around me, how I'm waking up in the morning and what I'm feeling, how I could be mindful throughout the day, teaching me how to just slow down and be present and do things differently. Because in that a moment of awareness, there's a little pause there where I get to decide. And I can either repeat and keep doing the same thoughts, feelings, and actions, or I can have a shift and give myself a completely different life.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, you have just explained the essence of, why we are doing this podcast, because lately mindfulness, although it has become a buzzword, but what's the true essence? What's the true reason behind cultivating something as profound as mindfulness? And there are a lot of connotations, a lot of misconceptions running around meditation. So thank you for sharing such a beautiful explanation on the role of mindfulness and self-awareness. So, Andrea, looking back, what was the most surprising or powerful lesson you learned during your healing journey? And you would like to share that with our listeners.
Well, I'd say there was a lot, and that's a great question. So thank you. I would say the panic attacks, honestly. Like I had anxiety, I had my first anxiety and attack at the age of 8. But I've had 2 surgeries throughout this 10-year process. One was removing my breast implants, which was big for me and can be difficult for many women. So if you're struggling with that, I understand. And it can be difficult, but I don't regret it at all. Another surgery was called cavitation surgery, where a doctor felt if I had this surgery, oral surgery done, it would fix everything. And after those surgeries, I did develop panic attacks, more anxiety, and depression. And I realized looking back, even as a teen, I'd battled a little tiny bit with depression, but really didn't understand it and couldn't understand how other people had depression, to be honest with you. I was in my 20s and still didn't have that awareness. And going through the depression of crying, of laying on my bathroom floor and crying, of feeling hopeless and helpless, of doing it alone, which is why I do what I do now, because I don't want anybody to go through that alone at all. It was really difficult. I understood that community was really important, but I felt very alone and depressed, and the panic attacks were awful. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, right before bed actually would happen, and I would run to my phone to call my mom to tell her I was dying, which is awful, but it's the truth. And if this helps one person and my vulnerability can help somebody listening, that's what I went through. I'd gone through so much trauma through surgeries and so much illness, chronic illness, that of course my mind was struggling. Of course I was struggling, and that was okay. At that point, I didn't know how to reach for help, but that was the biggest shift, because as hard as it was, I learned so much. I got deeper into therapy and doing different techniques, not just talk therapy, but actually getting to the root of the trauma and letting it go and rewiring my mind, which is so cool and still blows my mind. And I was able to have more compassion for others, right? Understand people. So now when I work with people through my health coaching and mindset coaching, I can understand not everything, but a lot of what people are explaining to me, because I literally went through it. So there's so much gratitude, because in that vulnerability, I was able to connect with so many people I would have never expected, and being in so many situations where I had to ask a stranger for help. and a hug. And that to me is the most beautiful thing in life, because those hard things, allowing me to then express and other people seeing me go through it, allows me to be vulnerable and then connect with others in such a beautiful way that meant so much to me and fills up my heart now.
Andrea, if our listeners they wish to connect with you, and they wish to explore more about the coaching you provide on mindset and healing, about wellness, how they can do that.
Of course, yeah. So thank you. There are so many ways you could connect with me. I have a website, AndreaJoyHealthCoaching.com. You can find me on Instagram at Holistic Joy, HOLISTIC Joy. I'm on TikTok. I am on Facebook under Andrea Joy. I have a YouTube channel as well. So you can find me if you just Google Andrea Joy Health Coaching, you will find me on almost every platform. Feel free to reach out to if you just have questions. I do free 30-minute consultations. So I'm here to help you on your health journey any way I can. And if you have any questions, comments, anything I can help you with, please reach out.
Sure, sure. Great, great, Andrea. We'll have all the details and mention in the show notes. And what a journey, Andrea. Thank you so much for sharing uh, it with all of us. And I think you are a living proof that listening to your body and embracing mindfulness, it can lead to profound transformation. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and your powerful message with everyone.
And thank you. Thank you for the great questions. Thank you for your time interviewing me. I'm so honored to be here. And I appreciate everyone listening in. I hope this was helpful. And I wish you the very best in your health journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrea. And to all of our listeners, if Andrea's story doesn't inspire you to rethink wellness, nothing will. So, thank you to everyone for tuning in to the Mindful Living podcast. And if you're ready to move from pushing through to truly thriving, connect with Andrea and start your own journey to mind body harmony. You can refer to the show notes along with this episode. And also, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Until next time, remember, mindful living is joyful living. Thank you.